Do you know how to light a fire with an orange?
Showing her skill and versatility, she presented an educational programme, Know-How, with British TV personality John Miller.
You look straightforward. Imagine you look at your own eye in a mirror and then put that light on it. You'll see that the centre of the eye closes up rather like a closing circle.
Something else. Water purification pills.
Purification pills?
Yes, they say it's hard to tell which is worse, the water in Paris or the men in Italy. They both get you in the end. And there's nothing worse than not knowing the French for lube.
Popular SATV comedy series Oh George saw her as the archetypal Kugel, South Africa's equivalent of the Jewish American princess, or the British Bex. This portrayal brought her national fame.
Oh no, we've had a lot of bad luck with this flat. Poor old Mr. Rheingold. One day we found something hanging limp from the light flicks.
What was that?
Mr. Rheingold.
Anyone should. So should you.
Annabel spends a large part of the year doing corporate cabaret, singing and entertaining for industrial shows. An illustration of her comedic talent was her TV appearance on Punchline, the South African equivalent of Britain's Joker in the Pack.
To get rid of his wife, and she wouldn't give him a divorce. So he's talking to his friend, who's a Frenchman, you see. And he said, you know, I just don't know what to do. She will not give me a divorce. He says, my dear, there's only one thing to do. You must give her the French treatment. He said, what's the French treatment? He says, this is the only way to get rid of the woman. He said, every time you see her, you make love to her. When she's in the garden, you make love to her. When she's doing the ironing, you make love to her. When she's doing the cooking, you make love to her. Whatever she's doing, you make love to her. I guarantee you, within 3 months, this woman will be stone dead. He says, you really mean? I guarantee it. So he says, all right, so they get the date and they work it out. 3 months to the day she's going to be dead. I guarantee. Anyway, 3 months later, he thinks he'll pop in, you see, the Frenchman thinks he'll pop in and see how his mate's doing. So there's 1 day to go, you see, there's 1 day to go. So he comes here and this is the scene. His friend is sitting on the veranda in a wheelchair with his knees covered in a blanket. He's shaking. And out on the tennis court, his wife is hitting the ball like a gazelle. Her limbs are all tanned. Her cheeks are flushed with health. And he says, well, how's it going? He said, well, look at her. It's amazing to think she's only got 1 day to go.
And from comedy to song, where she displays her versatility from blues to rock to ballads.
Ain't these tears in these eyes
One of her biggest stage triumphs was her portrayal of Velma Kelly in Chicago, for which she won a Gallo Award for Best Performance in a Musical. For her performance on stage as Mrs. Beckhoff in Torch Song Trilogy, she won a Delro Award for Best Supporting Actress.
Why do you say
In a cameo appearance in the TV series Inspector Carr Investigates, Annabel played a blonde Englishwoman.
You see, Inspector, for 21 years, I worked my fingers to the bone to help build this business. Do you think I was going to let his male menopause anxieties destroy it? He's a brilliant designer, Inspector, one of the best in the business. But when it comes to young girls...
Shut up. Shut up, will you?
The Inspector wants to know about Vera and Johnny Dixon. Why don't you tell him?
With her portrayal of Barney Bonato's sister Kate, in the series Barney Bonato, she played a completely different sort of Cockney.
Barney, come over here and see what I'm making.
What is it?
Well, don't say you've forgotten already. It's Teiglich.
Oh, it's my favourite.
First in 6 years. It's going to taste like...
Hey, not before you eat. Food's ready. Sit.
Solly's late.
Solly's always late. I'll keep his warm.
Well, you should come to Kimberley and cook for us.
Yeah, Ma, how about it?
I'm staying where I know what is. And so are you boys, so don't think of going. No buts. They ain't going. Not to Africa.
Annabel's enormous facility for accents has enabled her to play many varied roles, such as the right-wing Afrikaner Mrs. de Villiers in the TV series Drumbeats.
Never talked about joining the ANC?
He must have met the wrong people. He was easily influenced, you know.
What about his police career?
I'm not allowed to talk about that. And anyway, there's no such thing as the dirty tricks department.
But he gave a statement to the ANC.
You people, you're all the same. We give you a little finger and you take a whole arm. Now go. I'm not going to say nothing. Now, after all the things we've done for your people, you can't expect to have it all at once. Where do you think the money's coming from? It's the unions that are to blame. We already pay taxes. You people don't even pay taxes, do you? And you're so full of hate. Why are you so full of hate? You're so full of hate.
Her brilliant and moving performance as Sarah Gelgers, a Middle European immigrant in Heroes, won her Star Tonight award, as well as an Artie's nomination.
The Cossack soldiers were taking the farms away from the Jews. They came to our farm, and they took my father and locked him in the cellar. And suddenly we looked up, and there on the veranda was Alzuna, the family servant, young girl dressed in my mother's best dress. And she went up to the head Cossack.
Like a sergeant, you know?
And she said, "What do you think you're doing? I am Russian. This is my house." And you know, they released my father. She saved our lives. And you know, the German soldiers were wonderful to us then. They came to warn us that the Cossacks were coming back. So my father went to Majek, a place in Majek, and he sent for my mother and the children. And we went and they arrested my mother. Children were on their own. We had nowhere to go. A Jewish woman gave us shelter in an empty...
A shop.
Like a shop. And we stayed there for the whole 6 months while my mother was in jail. Through the winter, we ate potato peels, potatoes. And, you know, one day, I remember this like it was yesterday. We were in this room, and my little sister, Sonia, she said, "Look, Sarah, there's a bird. It's spring." And I said, "No, that's good luck." And you know, at 5 o'clock that day, there was a knock on the door. It was Mama.
Under some coffee grounds.
That is very clever, Mom.
For her stage performance as Daisy in Driving Miss Daisy, she was acclaimed by both the critics and the public. Phrases such as a beautifully rounded, exquisitely honed performance, the highlight of her career, and extraordinarily fine were used by the press. She was nominated for 2 awards.
I want my face.
Mama, that's 1 can of salmon.
I don't care. It was mine. I bought it and I put it there, and he walked into the pantry and took it and never said a word. I give him plenty to eat every day. I always tell him exactly what it is. They're like having little children in the house. They see something and they take it. Not a smidgen of manners, no conscience. He'll never admit this. No, he'll say, "I don't know nothing about that." I don't like it, Bully. I don't like living this way. I have no privacy.
Mom.
Morning, Miss Daisy.
Annabel Linder, multi-talented achiever, singer, dancer, comedian, and actress.
Jazz